ASEAN Breakfast Call. First and foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Hey Gowri.
Hi Arlene.
Apa khabar?
Kabar sangat-sangat baik. I don't think you heard me speaking in Malay, so.
Well, because it's UMNO General Assembly, so kita bercakap dalam bahasa Melayu, ya? Why I sound Indonesian? Anyway,
you are listening to DurianASEAN.com.
Okay, great that you helped me introduce that. Gowri, so nearby in KL, at PWTC, a lot of people are talking about it. Of course, a lot of people are not happy. The UMNO General Assembly, every year, I mean almost every year, there will be something, some gimmick, some really crazy gimmick happening there. Like a couple of years ago, there's this one politician waving keris and saying that they will fight for Malay rights, and Chinese and Indian, you know, he will not hesitate to kill them or something like that. So this year is a bit different.
This year is very different and very controversial as well. Twitter last night was exploding with the hashtag Salah Rakyat. Actually,
Gowri, you are the Twitter person. I'm not the new generation anymore.
But yeah, we'll get to that later. What's important about the assembly is that it seems the Sedition Act is staying after the Prime Minister actually said on multiple occasions that he was going to repeal the Sedition Act.
That's a strong U-turn, you know. It's like you've been saying it for a couple of years. Not a couple of years, but 2 years ago.
That goes back to Salah Rakyat, because apparently he said he has been observing us the whole year and we have been very, very bad people.
Aww,
so
the
Sedition
sounds
Act
like someone else, I know.
And so he observed, he made up his mind, and it seems that we are not ready for the Sedition Act to be repealed.
Yeah. It's not so much about the Sedition Act, it's just the manner or the tone of how politicians, in this case the Prime Minister, treat the rakyat. It's like we are a bunch of kids. Like, if you're a good girl, I'll give you lollipop. Or if you're a bad girl, you're going to take a time off.
It's like
and sit at the corner.
And Christmas is around the corner too. It's pretty much like asking Santa for a gift.
Yeah.
And you have to be on your best behavior.
But is that the kind of attitude we want politicians to treat ordinary citizens?
I remember one Saiful from Ideas said, it's not the Sedition Act that we need to protect the harmony in this country. It's education. And we are ready for the Sedition Act to be repealed. And
but in the first place, do we even need it? Because it is not even an act that was created post Merdeka. It was an act created by the colonial power to somehow control the society. At that time, it was I would say it was relevant because that was the period of imperialism and all that. But this kind of system might not suit the kind of democratic nation-state vision that everyone visioned.
And also, when he was repealing the Sedition Act, he asked everyone at the General UMNO Assembly, like, if they agreed. And of course they would agree with the decision. If you really want to know if people agree, you ask everybody. Why did you just ask one group of people?
You know, it reminds me of that king. Oh my God, I forgot the name of the. But it's the story of the king that was wearing nothing at all, naked, and he was asking everyone, is his invisible clothes beautiful? And everyone say yes, except for that one boy
who dared to speak up and say, you're not wearing any clothes.
Yeah, but he's just. I mean, it's a similar situation. Like, you are barking. I mean, you are speaking to your own. To the converted, of course they will say the same thing as what you want them to say, but you need to ask people who don't necessarily agree with you.
You just need to ask a wider base of people. It can't just be this one particular group who you know is going to agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you ask me, do you like ACDC? Of course I would say no. I think probably everyone at Durian ASEAN would say no, but if you ask someone outside of Durian ASEAN, probably they would say yes.
Maybe we should hire someone who listens to ACDC. But anyway.
Anyway, back to the story.
And while he was making the decision to to keep the Sedition Act, it seems he also played a video showing Alvin and Vivian Tan and their seditious remarks. So are you telling me that you are going to punish the entire nation because of what two people did?
A lot of people, including Malays, non-Malays, everyone, were condemning their action.
Of course, even the Chinese said it was insensitive.
It was really insensitive because it's not really Malaysian culture to make fun of other people's culture. It has never been. I still remember back in the days where my parents, when my parents were young and they coexist with their neighbors of different races. Of course, they are well aware that every one of them are different from each other. They celebrate different festivals, have different culture, different norms, and also different religion. But it's never a problem for them to make fun of other people because it's not a culture of theirs.
And you can always go to Twitter and go and check out the Salah Rakyat. It's more of a sarcasm hashtag, yes, okay. Where when you just complain about things, but then in the end you just blame yourself instead of blaming the government.
If you have one way to blame yourself, what would that be? Salah Rakyat hashtag.
I don't know. Maybe blame my great grandparents
for being Indian or for migrating here.
Maybe.
If hashtag Salah Rakyat myself, I would probably blame myself for being born in the wrong kind of family. I would say that why don't I'm being born in a family where it's bourgeois or where it is a royal family, you know, I might get to the throne.
Salah Tuhan already. Not Salah Rakyat.
Okay, back to another story. Before we move on to the next Malaysian story, I just want to insert one story about Singapore, reported by the FT.com. The story goes like this. Do you know that Singapore, that the way that we know, when Malaysia and Singapore were still together, married happily ever after, at that time, we were similar in terms of demographic, culture. Of course, they were more Chinese, just like in Penang. But in terms of culture, food, heritage, everything was almost the same. But now they are changing, like in a big way, in a way that Singapore might be the next China.
And this is, of course, because of the huge number of Chinese immigrants who have settled in the country over the years.
And when I say it will be the next China, except that probably has better laws. And it's true because there are more and more Chinese that are non-Singaporeans, Chinese national, migrating there, becoming their permanent citizen and having families there. And there are more and more Chinese bringing in their culture. People would assume that Malaysian or Singaporean Chinese would have the same culture like China, but that's completely not true. If you go to China, I think you've been to Shanghai, right?
Yeah.
It's like completely different from the kind of Chinese culture that you're exposed to in Malaysia, right?
And even when they come here, they don't, although back in Penang, but in USM, there were a lot of students from China. Even with there was plenty of Chinese food around and Chinese people, and they still didn't feel like they were at home. And that even the food were very, very different from what they had back home, the weather, and they were not too comfortable, actually.
Hashtag Salah Rakyat. I blame it on Penang, not on the China, for not being touristic enough. I'm just kidding about that. But just to insert a bit of the Singapore news, because we haven't really reported on Singapore that much, and we felt that this piece of news is really something that has been spoken for so long, but we just want to raise it again. That the wave of Chinese immigrants are changing everything from the hawker stall on the street to even financial district to probably virtually everything that is related to Singapore's business and society. Hopefully they don't penetrate into Singapore's government, then Singapore will be the next China. Then
they were so particular about the other foreign workers, even like us, we have the Myanmar workers, the Bangladeshi workers, that we don't pay attention to this other community that's also coming in and slowly rising because they've been doing it in a more subtle way through economic means.
Yeah. Like in Malaysia, it's all about low-cost labor, all the influx of immigrants. But with Singapore, the Chinese immigrants are from every sector in every social class. So moving from Singapore, we come back to Malaysia.
Let's come back.
So you remember when you were at another event, I was at the UNDP launching?
Yes.
For two reports. One is the Global Human Development 2014 report, and another one is the Malaysia's Human Development 2013 report. And if majority of the focus were on the Malaysia's report, what's interesting that was raised during the forum itself and the launching itself was 90% of Malaysians do not have any savings. But yesterday, Zeti Aziz from Bank Negara just rebutted, saying that the report was wrong. She actually claimed that more than 90% of Malaysians have savings. That's ironic, right?
So which one are we going to rely on right now?
So Team Zeti or Team UNDP? I don't know.
Well, actually, with the recent issue that happened with the budget, where everyone was complaining the wages is not enough, and I think personally we experienced that as well. And I wouldn't be surprised if there are more people without savings as compared to with savings, because the amount of income that we have, the disposable income, you spend it on so many things. And there was a report by the youth ministry as well, where they came up with what the youth today spend on car loans, housing loans, personal debt, entertainment, and a lot of other things. You have very, very little left for your, or almost none for your savings actually. So I will go with Team UNDP here.
I agree with you. I would go with Team UNDP. I'm almost finishing the book that the book called the Colors of Inequality, and also I was flipping through the UNDP report on Malaysia's human development. I also, based on my observation, it's not easy to have saving. Even if you have, it will just be crumbles that you probably save it in your biscuit tin or in your piggy in your piggy bank.
Just a few cents.
Or a few hundred ringgit, but not to the extent where it's enough for you to weather a few months without salary.
Maybe our parents can save after like 20, 30 years of working, but for the younger generation especially, it's really tough for them with the amount of money that they're earning and the rise of.
And I think when UNDP mentioned about saving, I believe what they meant is, if you have enough saving, you're able to buy certain things that are expensive without having to go through debt, and you are able to weather the storm if you suddenly found yourself unemployed for a couple of months. So if you just have a few hundred ringgit in your piggy bank, in your biscuit tins, it won't help you even for a week or 2 weeks.
So when Zeti says that they have savings, was she talking about a few thousand, a few hundred, or was she talking about the
She was actually talking about the tabung haji and the amanah saham, but probably she was interpreting the UNDP report differently, because here this is what she said. The report probably look at the saving in the banking system, but they don't look at savings in the non-bank financial intermediaries like tabung haji and koperasi. She's right on that. But I believe that what the UNDP was making the statement is not so much about where do you put your money. It's like the money is not enough, even though you put something on it.
Yeah, and it goes back to what we were discussing earlier about the amount of disposable income that we have. Because even if you can put money in your bank, it also depends on how much. Some people can, of course, put millions in the bank, and some people can probably only put a couple of hundred. So when we talk about savings here, how are we actually defining the savings? Because even a little kid can have savings.
That's true. I mean, this is what the report really stated. Nearly 90% and 80% of rural and urban households respectively has no saving, and it also shows that 57% of Malaysian households reported zero savings from investments, with a figure of urban household at 50% and rural household at 66%. So I guess it's now we should go for investing. Saham.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing because she also said that the recent hike in prices and the rising cost of living have been causing people to tap into their savings. And that kind of doesn't make sense, because when the cost of living is rising, you tend to spend more and you have lesser savings. There's nothing much to tap into if you were to really look at it.
Well, Gowri,
Yes.
I think we have like a huge divide between different classes of society. Maybe
course.
she's having a different kind of reality than us.
Well, she's the CEO of Bank Negara, so I would assume
Hashtag
her
Salah
reality.
Rakyat. I want to end
Salah
that with.
Rakyat, yes, we should spend less. It's our fault.
Okay, Gowri, let's move on to another news before we do more hashtag Salah Rakyat. Another one is about Australia. That we found this been really positive or optimistic that Australian celebrities are taking a concern over the treatment of asylum seekers, especially the children.
And
It is a huge virus or a huge disease that the Australian government hasn't been able to address it.
yes, it's been going on for a number of time, and this recording actually brought together a lot of noted figures, not only musicians, but people from business, arts, sports, religion, media, and all of them together came and sang the song about the children who are being detained on the islands of Nauru and Christmas Island, highlighting how unsafe their environment is and also their lack of opportunities to get an education.
Well, you see, the thing about Australia is majority of the society are whites, and they see immigrants as a threat to their way of life, their society. So it's good that celebrities in Australia are ganging up together to support for the rights of these asylum seekers, especially the children. And from what I see is the problems that these asylum seekers face is children showing serious signs of physical and mental deterioration. For example, on the island of Nauru, UN inspectors deem the conditions inhumane and unsuitable for children, while Transfield Services intelligence report details several cases of child abuse and self-harm. I mean, of course, obviously, right? I mean, if you are being thrown in a island where you don't have any rights at all, you'll get so depressed that you would rather kill yourself or harm yourself.
And there are actually 700 children on that island that you just mentioned. And yes, it can be very torturous to your mental health. They do have certain programs catered to the refugees and these people who are being detained. But at the same time, like we were discussing earlier, they are still unable to handle the problem holistically. It's still just small parts here and there, and that's why the title of the song really makes sense, which is "We Are Better Than This." I mean, if you look at Australia, it's one of the countries that is not controversial. It doesn't have that much of scandal going on, and a lot of people choose to migrate there as well from Malaysia, from Singapore, because it provides a lot of opportunities. And they can definitely handle this better than what they're doing at the moment.
It's really sad because, I mean, to me it's really sad. I would always hashtag Salah Rakyat condemn Malaysia for human trafficking, for the worst kind of treatment towards asylum seekers and immigrants. But Australia, I mean, seriously, Australia, you could have done better. You could do better than this. The long-term solution is definitely for countries within Asia Pacific to group together and address this on a regional level, because this is not just about asylum seekers seeking refuge in Australia. It's about countries need to care what other countries are doing, especially if they are neighbors, because at the end of the day, I mean, let's say country Arlene and country Gowri. Let's say I abuse my own citizen. My citizen have to fly all the way to your country, and it will be a huge problem to you. So instead of closing the door and then like having more illegal immigrants coming in, you should work together on a regional level or bilateral level to discuss the best way solution to deal with it, which is to make sure that you don't abuse your own citizen.
And also pretty much like what Jokowi did. He said by 2019 he's going to stop sending Indonesian workers abroad to become maids and all. So he's actually being proactive, and he's tired of his people being abused when they go overseas, when they go out to look for better opportunities. So what you said definitely makes perfect sense for them, for the leaders to actually come together and work together instead of just shutting the door or just putting them on an island and leaving them there.
I'm glad that you mentioned Indonesia, because we have two news targeting Indonesia. So move on to Indonesia pledging to join China-sponsored regional bank. Nowadays, news portal like New York Times, they are really scared of anything China.
So I thought you were going to say Indonesia.
Yeah, they are really scared of anything China. So when Indonesia decided not to join TPPA and instead it chooses to join RCEP, and now it chooses to join the China-sponsored regional bank. If you look at the headline, you can see that, whoa, China-sponsored regional bank. It sounds very scary,
Instead of giving it the name,
they
have to put
just give the
China
bank's name lah.
sponsored.
Seriously. Oh my god, I'm using my la. But yeah, the news came quite some time ago. But Indonesia has signed an official memorandum of understanding to join a China-backed regional development bank intended to rival organization like World Bank. World Bank is like the ultimate bank. The bank that everyone is criticizing, but everyone is relying as well. And to further, Indonesia hopes to further Beijing's aspiration for a leadership role in Asia.
China officials have said that the bank is actually meant to complement and not compete with the existing institutions like the World Bank or even the Asian Development Bank. But the critics have said that the bank's governance structure and levels of transparency is something that is still something that they still want to question. It's still not very solid yet. And the United States is quietly lobbying for regional allies, including South Korea and Japan, trying to get these two countries not to join.
Not to join. Okay, let's give the real name of the bank. It's actually called the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank.
And we can call it AIB.
You make it sound so cute.
Okay, well, and
okay, continue. Anyway, the point is, it looks quite obvious that the U.S. is really scared in terms of having its allies if it joins the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. It's really scared because then it will reduce its allies. I mean, they already joined the RCEP, So if they join other regional groups like this, then it will reduce the U.S. presence in Asia, and that's probably one of the key areas that they do not want to face. And
Indonesia is getting more and more fearless as well. Ever since Jokowi took into the office, they've been coming up with very, very, very extreme measures. It's not like a step-by-step thing. They just come in and say, okay, we're doing this, we're doing that, we're gonna sign this and sign that. It's a very sure, a very affirmative action.
For a long time, I think 1 decade of slow economic growth, they are ready to take on Southeast Asia. And
we are not ready, so blame ourselves.
We still need to tackle on the issue #Salah Rakyat. Well, unfortunately, this is the end of our show. But I just want to include one news for Indonesia because we already promised two news. Another news for Indonesia is more about the internal issue, which is clashes between protesters. Indonesian police kill one person.
And this is because of Joko Widodo's decision to reduce the fuel subsidies and increase the price of petrol and diesel by 30%. So people were not happy and they were protesting, and a couple of people got killed.
I see. But I thought it's just one person.
Okay, I added one more.
Gowri, we are going to have like no subsidy, fuel subsidy in Malaysia starting
so
next month.
Should we have a riot as well?
We are not suggesting #Salah Rakyat.
Yeah, it's our fault. Anyway,
that's all that we want to report. Hopefully there will be no clashes whatsoever next month when there will be no fuel subsidy for Malaysians.
And you can blame yourself for that.
And that's all from us today. And remember to follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and of course Instagram. We have a new Instagram account. Please follow us on Durian ASEAN, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also download the TuneIn app and look for Durian ASEAN.